How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the show. I am Max, your host, is with the mostest access to stream on this channel, as far as I know. How's it going, everyone? Happy Tuesday out there. Channel my inner air friend Somi. I think I watched like 3 of his videos today. A lot of good stuff. A lot of one of those just, I don't know how he does it. I really don't know how he does it. It's I don't know how he does it, but we appreciate him, and I always try to show my support for him. And I'm glad he loves our ecosystem. Unbelievable asset, and we got a few gems in the ecosystem. And as long as he loves us, he will continue to be a gem for us as well. But he's putting out amazing stuff today. I hope to put out some amazing stuff. Hope to have a cool conversation that I don't think a lot of people have. And I think it's been some discussion on Twitter recently as well. I think Goldkey put out a tweet. I was conversing with him a little bit too, kind of tongue in cheek, but also like, hey, we have no expectations that the entity that owns a ton of stuff, ton of DAI, ton of ETH, ton of other things, could be multiple entities. We don't know. We have no expectations, but what if they decided to do something with that? And not only them, what about all the other PulseChain projects, the ones that got millions and millions of dollars? We clearly sacrificed, our community sacrificed to build this stuff. When will the promotion start? When will the marketing, social media, all this stuff? I have a great poll. I think we'll paint some color and light on this as well. I have Corey Costa here to go through it, and we're going to keep it respectful and clean, make it a little spicy, but it's going to be constructive criticism, if any at all. And I think it'll be good. It'll be good, something to talk about. Something I don't talk about often because, again, no expectations. I assume absolutely nothing is going to happen ever with the funds or otherwise. I gave them away. If I did do so, you may have gave them away as well. So no expectations, but it is sure fun to think about if they were some sort of ability to deploy them at the right time. And he had a genius billionaire that somehow, knew a lot of stuff about crypto and a bunch of other big brains that have, possibly acquired some stack money as well. Anyways, without further ado, Corey is very distracting in the green room. I'm gonna bring him in. Welcome back to the channel, Corey Costa.
Yeah.
I was like, is he waving to somebody in the chat?
No, not at all. Not at all. What's going on? My God, I need a haircut. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Doing good. Just telling the people about the people that we're going to talk, not the people, the entities, the potential entities, projects, and otherwise. We're going to have a great discussion on today, man.
Yes, and I will leave my disgruntlement at the door, and I'll be professional. Don't you worry.
I've told Corey that we avoid ad hominem on the show. We avoid, we try to stick to constructive criticism. However, we will discuss the facts and have objective reasoning applied to all these situations. So you on board with that? You cool with that?
Yes, sir.
Boom.
I'll
never muzzle you, Corey. I'll never muzzle you. If you feel the need.
I've said I do my disgruntlement through memes on Twitter. It's the only way I don't get attacked for showing my actual perspective on things. But I am looking forward to speaking with you about pressing issues that I think need to be discussed.
Boom, man. Let's start there. I tried to frame it again in the opening monologue there. We've got entities otherwise with basically a ton of money in crypto. Money that was sacrificed, and money that again was sacrificed. It was not an ICO. It was we gave it away, and then hey, everyone's like, oh, we'll probably get some tokens for this. That's what they were. A little bit of expectation there. We will receive something, but it was no, you don't have stock in this company. You can't change the menu at McDonald's. None of that stuff. However, once once teams or entities or whatever, once they take in money, and then they have a community that is very excited about seeing what's upcoming and what's going to happen within or otherwise, even though they don't control it, and they don't have expectations, they're wondering, where's it going to go? How's it going to help the community? Are they going to build what they said they're going to build? All that type of stuff. So maybe we'll start with that. I'll pull up stuff we can put in the background as well and talk about too.
Sure.
But what is your pulse of? Let's just start with the PulseChain project. We'll get into Hex and PulseChain.
PulseChain project or price? You said
projects. PulseChain projects. What is what have you been seeing? We've seen a lot launch lately, but kind of start us on that. Paint the landscape for us a little bit.
Well, all right. So let me start this off with this. I think the fact that we have to tiptoe around the idea of no expectations means that there was expectations, and you can see that through the disgruntlement of the numerous individuals, including myself, that have seen multiple projects launch on PulseChain. Many projects that I've interviewed more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times over the last 2 years that the community entrusted. And I think there's and this is not an ad hominem. I think there's this type of quasi Stockholm syndrome. And what I mean by that is we have this notion of no expectations, which gives project founders the excuse to basically do the bare minimum. And I'm not talking about protocols themselves. I'm talking about capital. And when I see projects that raised 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, and they launch, and then they put $3 worth of liquidity in, you don't really set a really strong precedent for growth and trust when you put a tenth of a tenth of a tenth of what you raised into a liquidity pool to actually enable individuals to, do the standard thing people do in cryptocurrency, which is buy and sell. So I think the whole no expectation thing is kind of, trying to say this lightly, is I think everyone, no matter who it is, has some type of expectation of something. Not a stock in a company. Obviously, this is decentralized. I'm not expecting to have, like if I bought a stock in Disney and I have expectations of profit from Disney as a shareholder. No. What I find though is that there's an expectation that these projects will act in, I don't know, goodwill, so that when people come over here, they don't just see an assortment of projects that are 95% down. And when you get attached, as Smo Spider would say, and I like that, when you get attached to this narrative of no expectations, it's almost like it's almost like you basically coming home to somebody who is going to be aggressive, but it's like, oh, I don't have any expectations of them doing any better because they're always aggressive to begin with. Um, it's not a viable solution to solve problems, especially when you're a layer one that is going up against other layer ones that are already formally established that don't have, and this is just being honest, the same controversy, unfortunately, that this ecosystem, justified or not, I don't think it's justified, but justified or not from the outside, um, has garnered. And when you see every sacrifice project down, or not everyone, but many of them down 90% as a result of, I don't know, disgruntlement, as a result of when you raise 7 figures and you put a tenth of that in the liquidity pool, it's like, well, what the hell? Where did the funds go? What components is it going to build? Um, and I'm not saying every project has done this. I'm not saying all of them have. I'm saying that there is a major issue I'm seeing here with prominent projects that thankfully have created on-chain volume, because without on-chain volume, Pulse Chain would just go the way of the dinosaur. So these projects have really helped to build a foundation for transactions on Pulse Chain. But at the same time, it's not a very large. There's not a very. I guess what I'm trying to say is, in a most professional way, is do better with allocations, especially when it comes to the fact if you're raising 6, 7, 8 figures and you're putting in that minuscule in a liquidity pool. I get it. Thin liquidity makes the price go higher, but I don't believe
and again, maybe I'm just being a glass half empty person, but I don't believe that was the intent of many projects that put low liquidity in from the start. I don't think it was out of, oh, we're going to think the price is going to shoot up because we have 1/10 of the liquidity.
Do you think, for example, if the project's launched, maybe we're in better macro conditions and everything went up, 10x right now. Do you think we'd be having you would feel the same, I guess, the conversation about the expectations, like, oh, look, I had no expectations and the price went up. Do you feel like now it's like, oh, well, no expectations. And it's like, but you guys are going to do something, right? You're going to do something, right? Like, you got to, like, where's the thing? Where's all again, the whole framing of no expectations is, hey, we're going to do some stuff. If you want to be a part of it, you can contribute, and then kind of you can talk amongst yourself with how that's going to work. Honestly, I'm cool with it. I'm like 80%. It doesn't bother me. Like every once in a while, I get annoyed because something will happen. I'm like, okay, guys, it's like, did you not collect enough money to take care of that? That sort of thing. But
that's my point, where it's like it's a reflection on the chain because the chain is so young, and it's like if you're going, listen, like I have literally exactly Stephen R. Thank you very, very much. Low liquidity and $200 worth of liquidity are 200 are two different things. Like this is basically the not the percentages, but the ratios that I'm conveying. That's pathetic. And it's sad because when you have a young chain and you come over here and you find out, oh, this project raised this project raised this project raised this, and all of them have a political statement. But I'm just going to be honest. Like, if I wanted to make a political statement, I'll just go on Twitter and say the political statement I wanted to say instead of allocating something to it. So, when I look at these projects, they take advantage of that narrative. And I'm afraid that precedent is going to happen over and over and over again. And I don't think he's not saying, I mean, I think $200 in liquidity is kind of like his point saying C3 works, that it's obviously not $200 in liquidity, but like when you raise this much money and you put this much money into a liquidity pool, it's like, it's like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? Seriously, what are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know anything about the liquidity or $200 or anything like that. Just in general, though, I think your point of it is easy to take advantage when you have such a flexible, open, generalized thing of no expectations. So it's like, all right, nobody can expect anything, but hey, we're going to try to do this thing. Then there are, of course, they're going to be human nature. It's some things, some you may be aligned in a way that is easy to take advantage of it or delay or all this stuff.
Exactly.
But at the same time, if it all, again, just going back to the candle color, if at the end of the day, 2024, let's say 2024, we get the pump we thought we were going to get last year, just dreamed of, and everything is good, and we have the bull run, and the prices are up. Does it all just go away? Are we like, oh, remember, is anyone going to be talking about, oh, remember when things launched and the liquidity was low or the price went down, all this stuff? Do you think it's, again, just a reflection of the candle colors?
I think it's an amalgam of the candle colors, but also at the same time, if you have basically projects that are rising in value and liquidity, and I guess you could say liquidity pools are not following in the intensity of the valuations of the price, well, that displays a problem. So, that's where the issue lies here, is that, like, are people going to provide LP? Are we going to entrust this to the community? Is everything dependent on the community to do when there is some back and forth level of trust between projects and projects and the people who sacked for them? Is there some type of invisible agreement that wasn't conveyed? I think there is. I mean, there is no project utility. I mean, the project has utility, but there is no usage without a community. And if you lose the trust of the community, or something comes over that's better, well, there's no reason to use that initial project to begin with. And if you can't enshrine trust in that, especially during a bull market and a bear market as well, because a bear market is really when people are more, I would dare say, emotional. I don't want to say depression and panic are rational, but I would say being in a depression has more rationality in it than being in euphoria. So I'm going to sit here and say that I've not been very happy with the releases that I have seen, not because of the products themselves, but because of the amount of capital that was raised, and that capital was not a higher amount was not injected into at least an LP for the start for these sacrificers. I think there's, you know.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think too of why I don't get frustrated more often with you know, again, any expectations I might have had with PulseChain or with any of the sacrifice projects too. I think just I really take into heart the you do the work type of thing, like the community, like you want to see this thing succeed. Hey, you know, maybe we got money, maybe we got funds as for devs, infrastructure, blah blah blah. But and we'll get into maybe some other ways that this stuff could be used. We'll get in that pretty quickly too. But just the hey, I want to see my bags pump. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna go stream. I'm gonna go create content. I'm gonna go do research. I'm gonna go, you know, participate in these other things. So I think that maybe that helps me simmer it a little bit too. You know, I get frustrated from time to time. I see something, you know, just like you, I see stuff happen. I'm like, wow, seriously, did that have to? I mean, I don't talk about it publicly that often, but I'm just kind of, I read a tweet and I'm like, oh man, seriously, like that's got to happen. But then I'm like, okay, whatever. Maybe I need to, again, I just kind of reflect, what can I do to help that? No, right. Because if I already gave money, I can't do anything else. The sack's over. But like, what else can I do with the talents I have, the stage I have, the reach I have to do that? So anyways, maybe that makes me a little bit more measured.
It makes me more measured. And like, listen, like, as you know, you do a lot of work. I do a lot of work. You know, there's a lot of content creators out there that do a lot of work. But there are some, I don't want to speak in generalities here, but if I were a sacrificer for one of these projects, I would at least infer that not every single sacrificer is going to feel that it's monetarily obligatory for them to have to build on a pre-existing product that already exists. When I buy Grand Theft Auto 5, I don't expect it to be incomplete. When I buy a protein powder, I expect there to be protein in it and not just dust. So, you know, it's.
But is this more like you're going to the hotel and you slip them, hey, I'd like it's what kind of rooms you got, what kind of upgrades you got, and you give them a 20, you give them a 50, and then you get up to the room and it's like, well, it's okay.
I'd return it.
No expectation. You go back downstairs to the front desk and be like,
yeah, I demand a return.
Listen, mofo.
You know, like if I go in, if I spend $100 for a room that looks beautiful on Google Images, and then I go into that room and there's cockroaches on the floor and the bathroom has feces all over it, I'm gonna be like, well, what did I just spend my money on?
You have to add another zero to that room.
Of course, it's a false equivalency, but like my point being is that like there has to be some give and take. So that's exactly where I'm saying, like, these projects that have launched, they do great things for PulseChain. They need to exist. All of them do. But like there are, and again, like I'm not a project developer. I never conveyed to be, nor will I ever want to. But it's more along the lines of being disgruntled at the fact that when you have this long to prepare and you don't have that, and there's no, it's just, I don't want to use the word that we always use, but there's just an innate disappointment, especially when you're young chain and the young chain has something to prove to pre-existing established chains that are backed by VCs, that are backed by individuals that are well known in cryptocurrency. Like, this is what this community is up against, and the project developers need to be cognizant of that their projects, especially the large ones, are a reflection of the possible longevity of a chain. So like, when you look at other chains that exist, like ETH, BNB, and Cardano, and whatever, and Phantom, and Polkadot, even though Polkadot's a layer 0, it's like, you know, of course, there's a lot of rugs on those chains, and there's rugs on every layer 1. but they're established already. We need to become established. And the only way we become established is by having protocols that have established communities, and those communities only exist when they feel like they're actual, when they're, I don't know, their perspective.
When the price goes up.
Exactly. There you go. Hey, is that my boy? That's my boy Sam.
I made a meme for you. I channeled my inner founder while
Thank
you're
you,
talking.
sir.
I made a meme for you. Corey asked a question about the project. You get this meme.
Hey, bro, like you are well adept in software. You have created numerous websites that have assisted in onboarding. And another thing, not on the topic of sacrificing, but like nobody knew
up until like, I don't know, yesterday, that if you don't, and again, I'm not expecting, well, actually, you know what? People shouldn't have to expect to know this. But if you don't update your exe files, there's a possibility that if you bridge over, your funds are lost. So it's like, and nobody said that. That's not helping people. And it's just like, how is this going to be a viable option if you're not even getting not you, obviously, but we're not getting the word out there that, oh, if you use V102 on accident instead of V105, and you send money over, like I saw this problem in the bridge support chat that some guy was like, oh, I didn't know I had to upgrade my EXE. I didn't know that. And as a result, he lost like $3,000. And it's like, what if a whale or someone well known did that and they had a large following? Like, how is this conducive of onboarding people? Like, and I get it, like PulseChain needs to be decentralized, I get it. But like, and again, the IPFS link works great. You just click one more click. Pinata has been hosting NFT since 2018. But like, thank God we have websites like Go Real DeFi that you've created. Thank God we have websites that like the Tangang have created so that you can just easily click. Thank God you've created this, because like, it's honestly annoying that every other day you hear a story about someone clicking an exe file thinking they're doing something noble, when realistically speaking, actually, I'm going to speak for myself. I don't give a shit about decentralization. I care about profit. And I think many people here do, but they're too innately righteous, or a false sense of righteous, to say it. And like, when you decentralize things, yeah, it's great.
How dare you?
I know, and it's great, but like, at the same time, how does it benefit the people who don't know software? So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I do like decentralization, but I don't think anyone's going to click the EXEs. I think only the nerds are going to do that. And God bless the nerds. I'm one of them.
Yes.
Cool. But I think the 99% of other people are just going to go use IPFS links. So
I agree.
That's why I created Go Real DeFi, to make sure, okay, if you're going to use the links, then make it look pretty, that kind of thing. But yeah, price go up. If I did a poll now, it's like, hey, what if you could have a crypto that the price went up 10,000x, or it was the most decentralized crypto and it went up at 10x? I know which button they're going to press. I know which one. So yeah, a good thing you don't have to make that choice. Hex.com, save yourself.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Anyways, yeah, I want to go back to software. It's hard. I want to talk about let's get into, I just want to briefly cover this because I think this is very undercovered in that sense of that word. As far as Dipcatcher did some excellent analysis. Anyone want to look? I put the link in the chat. Has also tweeted it, all that stuff. PulseChain sacrifice, God, amount of stables, the beautiful amount of hex there, billions of dollars. This is basically the entity and different transactions and swaps and stuff they did. Is this a total? Is this $3.5 billion worth of a wallet? Amazing. I don't know if it's spread out over multiple wallets or entities or otherwise, but $3.5 billion, if my eyes are reading the correct thing on the screen. A lot of money. I don't think we're paying the devs $10 million a day. So I imagine there'd be plenty of that to go around. Again, no expectations. But if there were to be a plan of how to split this thing up, again, they could very well do nothing. That they could send it to a burn address for all we know. We have no idea what's going to happen. But if they were going to do something, Corey Costa, if the PulseChain war chest, or the Loans war chest, or Power City, or any other project you SACs for, if they were going to do something, before we get into it, tell me which one you think the most, so I can click it so we can see all the percentages while we're talking about it. Which one do you think, if you could snap your fingers, any of the SAC money, what would you want them to spend it on the most?
The SAC money regarding for PulseChain and PulseX, I can't see that because I'm far from that. What does that say?
So any PulseChain project, could be PulseChain, could be any of this project sacrificed. So you got 4 choices: marketing and promotion, social media engagement, events and sponsorships, or LP exchange listings, stuff like that. What do you think if you could snap your fingers and in 2024 they spend a percentage of the funds on that, or more than they have been at least? What would you pick?
If there was no consequence from any 3-letter agencies, I would say use that money for LPs, exchange listings for onboarding, because I had this this debate with somebody who said, "Oh, we're going back to Bitcoin. We're becoming decentralized. Why is that a bad thing?" And it's not a bad thing at all that we're going back to be decentralized. But the fact is 12 years ago, when all you could do is go and get Bitcoin, basically, from some dude at local Bitcoins, or download an exe file and hold it and hope to Christ that it doesn't go anywhere. Well, there's a reason why Bitcoin had very little value back then, was because only, like you highlighted, technically savvy people were able to garner it. Now, with Bitcoin pairs everywhere, it's very, very easy for someone to buy Bitcoin. It's very easy for someone to buy Ethereum. It's very easy to buy these chains, these projects. It was relatively worthless because it was unknown to the masses at one time, when the only way you could get it was downloading an exe file. So, and again, this is obviously not PulseChain's fault. This is no one's fault that PulseChain doesn't have any exchange listings. That's nobody's fault. We have fake DeFi that's lingering around, and we have obviously centralized exchanges that have some type of negative aspects towards PulseChain, whether it's for the SEC, even though other projects are under SEC scrutiny. I don't know why they're singling out PulseChain. I don't know why they've done it for years. You see it on CoinMarketCap. You see it on CoinGecko. I don't think it's warranted. I think it's unfair, and I don't think it's equitable, because this community is one of the loudest in crypto, and there's no question on that. But if you really want onboarding, you don't make it more difficult. You make it easier. So if I were to use the SAC funds personally, if it were up to me, I would provide more LP on the majority of the larger coins, and I would also, if I could, I would utilize that money to assist in marketing, because what we saw yesterday was a perfect example of marketing outside works. GoPulse, which shout out to GoPulse. GoPulse did fantastic. They did a great job yesterday. They put the hell's it called? They put an article on Market Watch, which is huge, and they put another article, I believe, on either Yahoo or something else. And then B Roots went on Crypto Banter. And I don't believe it's a coincidence that those two things happened and PulseChain, PulseX, and HEX pumped in value. And the reason why that is because new eyes lead to higher valuations if people find it interesting. Utilizing that money to garner more eyes on people, on this particular chain, is exactly what this chain needs. So if I were to spend SAC funds, I would utilize those SAC funds in any way possible to create green candles, because green candles is the only thing, in my opinion, that supersedes community in regards to onboarding. When you, like, Bonk is a perfect example of this. What happened with Bonk is Bonk skyrocketed in value. Then everyone talks about it. Everyone buys it. Then it gets listed on Coinbase. Then, of course, it collapses in value. But the point being is that those green candles were the biggest onboarding components. It's bigger, in my opinion, than any content creator is green candles. And then I would say community is a very, very close second. And I never thought I'd ever say that until recently seeing, how strong this community is, and how big this community is, and how powerful this community is. But yet we're not seeing the price valuations increase how you would infer with such a large community. So that's what I would do personally. Again, I have no control over any SAC funds. I want to make that clear. Either do you. I just want to make that, that's important.
Yeah, I just when I was thinking of this question too, again, we have no control, no expectations. Nothing may happen with any of the SAC funds. People go buy their own private islands, and hey, that's what sacrifices are for. Hopefully, that doesn't happen, obviously. But when just thinking about this and the different ways to do it, so I've always thought, for example, PulseX. Why isn't PulseX the best X in the world right now? Well, it doesn't matter when nobody's here. Like you really got to have perspective of look around. The only people who are here right now are like the die-hard people, the people who are just like in crypto all year round. That is a fraction of everyone in crypto.
That's my point. Thank you.
So I don't care what PulseX looks like right now. I just want it to look really good in 2024. Same thing here. Same thing here with, we haven't seen a lot of marketing, promotion, social media stuff other than grassroots. And that's beautiful. Like grassroots is how the community stays strong. That's what we need. That stops us from collapsing. That stops us from just evolving into nothing is people with, good motives, intentions, and aligned to make this thing more popular. So outside of LP, outside of exchange listings, like if any founders or projects are listening right now, Corey, what do you think as far as, maybe you talked about exchange a little bit, but as far as marketing, is it literally just like, would you be surprised in 2024 to see, some big crypto show sponsored by, hex.com or sponsored by Liquid Loans or sponsored by, is there anything like that? Do you think within crypto we can get some more attention to?
I really think it depends on the how the emotional state of the market. So I'll make a perfect example of this. The amount of money was spent on this, I don't know. But I do know that 9inch specifically went on Mario Knopfel, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Mario's show in front of a crap load of people. And it garnered eyes to 9inch. And that's fantastic because it indirectly it puts people into the direction of PulseChain, but it didn't really do anything regarding the valuation of PulseChain. Now, albeit that's a fantastic thing to do, and I think 9inch taking that leap was very, very important for PulseChain. Same thing with Gold Pulse. Same thing with what B Roots just did on Crypto Banter. I think that if you're going to spend money, for example, because I know how much some of these crypto YouTubers charge for sponsorships, you got to make sure the sponsorship is with a very, very, very large YouTuber that's able to be multifaceted. If you're, for example, if you give, let's say, $30,000 to one of the largest, crypto YouTubers, but the majority of what they cover is Cardano, let's just say, for example, Cardano or BNB, and you arbitrarily bring up PulseChain, that's not going to be as effective as somebody who's a multifaceted YouTuber who covers things from Bitcoin to Ethereum to crypto news to Binance to AVAX to meme coins. Like, you have to be able to target the right YouTubers. You can't target the single, I guess you could say the single identity YouTuber regarding cryptocurrency. So if sponsorships were to be done right, I think what Richard did, albeit, outrage marketing was kind of cringy, I think it was I think his debate skills and his ability to market his products were extremely effective, mostly when he went on streams, because when he went on streams, he was able to speak in an autodidactic fashion, very educated, very inquisitive, and was able to basically one up any YouTuber that attempted to debate him in any type of discussion. And I think when you have individuals who are not very well adept in cryptocurrency listen to someone who is extremely adept in cryptocurrency, well, it creates a type of substantive, I guess you could say, justification to follow somebody and their assets. So that's where I think that Richard Hart did very, very well.
Well, since just speaking of that, like, since Richard is, we don't know if he's going to come back and stream. We don't know if he's going to come back on any stream, let alone his own stream or otherwise. for this foreseeable future. I mean, who knows? It could be tomorrow. It could be 6 months from now. I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
Do we need other, like, I was thinking about this too. Do we need other people? I've seen a few people in the community go out to conferences and speak. I mean, PulseChain Tour, shout out to them. They're making their own conference around the country. Do you expect to see people in 2024 from the community? Who knows? Maybe myself. I don't know. Going to conferences, going on other people's channels and stuff, and having debates or otherwise, promoting these products in our community. Now that our founder is just taking a break.
Here's the thing. We can talk about, and I'm not talking about cryptocurrency decentralization. I'm talking about decentralization throughout history. We can sit here and champion decentralization in cryptocurrency, decentralization in feudalism, decentralization in smaller government, but human beings naturally crave a hierarchical structure. It's why we have nations. It's why we have ranks. It's why we have different positions in any industry that you go to. It's why we always have an alpha and a pact. And there are reasons for this. This is human psychology. And this is the same thing in cryptocurrency. You have these quote unquote leaders, not quote unquote leaders. I don't want to say quote unquote. You have these quote unquote leaders of the pact that people look up to and create a sense of security. For example, Vitalik Ethereum. Now, albeit Ethereum is established enough where I feel like if Vitalik were to leave, Ethereum could stand on its own two legs. BNB, we see that right now at CZ. I don't know what the future of BNB is going to hold now that CZ stepped down. That's yet to be seen. We'll see what happens after all the trial stuff ends. Charles Hoskinson with Cardano. If Charles Hoskinson were to leave Cardano or step down, there would be a lot of uncertainty in the Cardano ecosystem, I'm going to infer. And you're seeing that right now. And yes, do I think we need Richard? If this was a year or two from now and everything was established and we had all these projects and there was no controversy around the community, I'd say, yes, we don't need him anymore in that respect. However, when you have a community that was so focused on deifying somebody, and that out of nowhere, that deity disappears. It's like the Catholic Church without the Pope. It's like, how would the Catholic Church work without the Pope? Out of nowhere, it disappears.
Probably okay, but a lot of people would be sad for a while, I imagine. Hey, that sounds like a parallel.
My point being is that, like, how do we move on as a group? How do we move on as a community? How do we move on as a collective? What are the ideals that we're going to now follow? And you see that factionalism happening, because under Richard there was a identity that people followed. Not your key, and I think we still do, but not your keys, not your coins, no admin keys. But now there's so much change that has happened in this community over the last year, where we are, Richard Hart was very, very present. And now he's taken a step back. And obviously for legal reasons, I wouldn't want him to step forward right now to begin with. I don't want to put him in a position where he can shoot himself in the foot. Not for my bags, not for anybody's bag. That's the first thing. That would be incredibly selfish of me to say that. The second thing is, now you have a layer one community now that for a while was championed to not promote other tokens except Hex. Now you have a community that has basically put itself in numerous different factions, where you have individuals that are focused on the 4 Richard Hart or 5 Richard Hart tickers, which is fine. Then you have other people that are going into meme coins and third-party projects. And instead of that cultural diffusion happening naturally, there's a lot of reactionary responses from people and some streamers against individuals that are either max, where you're on one side where you're against the maxis, or the maxis are against the people who are exploring third-party options. And when you have this much change, I remember reading in a book called The 48 Laws of Power, and like basically what he highlighted was too much change at one time is terrifying to the human animal. And the way to change an ideology is to do it slowly to a point where the people who are following that ideology don't realize the change happened until the change happened. And I think that what happened with us was that it happened too fast. And that's where a lot of this uncertainty comes from. So in a nutshell, do I think Richard? Do we need really Richard right now to stream? Until we have more establishment and we're not just 6 months old, yes. A year or two from now, if the SEC case is gone and we have robust projects and PulseX has numerous different integrations in it, that doesn't make it just a buy and swap exchange DEX, then that's a conversation for another time.
Yeah, I go back to the candle colors too, because I just think if we're sitting here a year from now and everything's up 10x, or put the X number in your head, whatever it is, then everyone's like, oh, Richard, yeah, it's not so bad, he's gone right now. But it just feels like, oh wow, the SEC and the prices are down, and is this thing really going to work? And why did I sacrifice again? Like all those things just put, again, it feels like the candle colors. It feels like we would both be having a different conversation. Everyone would be having a different conversation. Somebody I clipped the other day, me and Rags talking. Somebody, one of the comments was funny. It was like, this sounds like a funeral. That kind of like a theme. And I was like, wow, did it really, having the conversation about this, in the current moment, in the context, it almost feels that way sometimes. We're like trying to make the best and take care of the family right now, that sort of thing.
I'm sorry, go on.
No, that's it.
If the SEC case was not going on right now, then I'd say yes. Then I'd say if the SEC case was not going on right now, and indirectly this ecosystem was affected by the SEC case, well, not indirectly, directly affected by the SEC case going on with Richard, then I don't think it may have been necessary for him to be as communicative. But unfortunately, right now, the SEC has its corrupted entanglement on this ecosystem. And for the foreseeable future, until this trial ends, just like what happened with XRP, I feel like there's going to be, unfortunately, a lot of suppression that happens as a result. And that's where I think people need that type of
green candles
and comfort that comes from not even green candles, just Richard's presence, I think is very valuable in regard.
He does tweet almost every day. I will say that. I know he's gone from a lot of places, but I think if he didn't tweet for weeks on end, that would be a little more disconcerting. But like he does tweet, so I'm like, I think the minimum is there for me at least.
Yes, of course. But you see this not narrative, at least, from me being on Twitter very frequently, it's like, we need Richard Hart to stream again. We need Richard Hart to stream again. And like, there's this type of discussion that I like seeing going on where it's like, do we need Richard? Do we not need Richard? Are we content with the idea that he may never come back? Are we going to be able to play the reins on this ecosystem without him? And I think in the long run, yes. I think any layer one community that is 100% dependent on one individual is doomed to fail in the long run. If Cardano is dependent on Charles Hoskinson, if Phantom is dependent on Andre Cronje, if BNB is dependent on CZ, you don't have a recipe for longevity, because we are mortals and we don't live forever. And maybe some people have a change of heart and just want to leave this space. So I do foresee a future where PulseChain does not need that Queen of England figure per se.
Yeah, people keep asking me, like, why don't you just text Dad? Just text him. And I'm like, I don't have his number. He went out for gas one day, didn't come back. So I cannot help you. Cannot help you with that.
Exactly. I hope you appreciate my honesty. I'm looking at the chat, and
chat appreciates your honesty. Chat, nobody's everyone's.
No, I don't see any anger. I'm surprised. That's good.
No, I think when I set the tone, as far as the beginning of the thing, I'm like, hey, we're gonna have a conversation about this stuff, and it's gonna be good. Like, I think you're doing great, man. I think you're sharing a very interesting perspective. I'm sharing my perspective as well, and I think we're actually going to get something out of it, because that's the last thing I want to cover before I ask you the big question. But what else could happen on this stuff? Like, we have, there's obviously pros and cons, a few different strategies. We got educational materials. I think PulseChain Tour, having the trainings, having the courses, online or in person, is really, really good. Outreach to other communities. We have you who you straddle a few different ones and are able
That's right.
to get exposure. Yeah, get exposure to different ones too. More people from other communities come in and start making Hex PulseChain content. We talked about sponsoring ships and stuff like that. That may be interesting in 2024, especially since if there's a lot more money to go around for it happening, and a lot of the maybe the SAC funds haven't been used for that. The SAC funds for PulseChain projects or PulseChain or whatever. I guess I'm mostly on sponsorship. I guess I'm mostly talking about the community and the PulseChain projects doing that. I don't know. I don't know the chances of actual the OA and stuff doing that, but anyway, social media game. I think we can pay. I think there's a ton of money that can be put into just making sure the Hex PulseChain PulseX hashtags are just blowing up 24/7. Like I think that's like an easy, not an easy, but like a low barrier of entry. Like I'm sure there's people who can help us do that in a legit way. Airdrops. I'll just go over a couple more and then I'll
go ahead.
Get you in here. Airdrops. I wonder how many airdrops again, we haven't seen too many. I guess we've seen some, but not too many that have been to sacrificers. Like, here you go. Sorry, the prices are down, but like, here's another coin, like stuff like that. Airdrops to other communities and also airdrops to maybe sacrificed the sacrifice lists and stuff, sacrifice class, and conferences, sponsoring conferences, having booths, having in-person conversations. I think that does wonders. Like we can scale stuff with online advertising and all that, but going out, shaking someone's hand, having conversation with them, getting to know them, knowing they're not here to scam you, knowing they just they're in the ecosystem they just believe is good, and being able to explain any concerns or any questions stuff they have, invaluable. Takes a lot of time, takes people, takes resources, and then dinners, conversations with high net worth individuals. I know Funding Jim and others have been, kind of doing that too. The red pill, the DCC, the red pill, a lot of the people that he interacts with. That's just a few, but what do you got on that? And then we'll wrap up as far as just like, what do you think is going to be effective for the teams could do who have money looking to spend it?
I think that there should be if you want to talk about, obviously not you, I'm speaking rhetorically, but if you really want to talk about decentralization, you really want to create a decentralized governance paradigm in this ecosystem, it would be logical to create a type of treasury DAO. A lot of layer ones that I've seen have it, where usually it's a centralized entity that provides grant programs and incentivization measures for people to come onto the chain. But what I would recommend is that all of these projects that have 6, 7, 8 figures and put $7 worth of liquidity in their liquidity pools, well, utilize those funds in a way that benefits your bags by creating a DAO and creating a treasury component of it that can be voted on by the community on the basis of how many, I don't know how this is going to be done from a development perspective, but on the basis of how many people have PulseChain or PulseX, utilize the voting power of the holders by PulseChain PulseX. PulseX was supposed to get a DAO on the base of what I'm saying, but PulseX for some reason doesn't have anything. It was supposed to have a DAO, and a DAO would be great surrounding what individuals could vote on based on the voting power they have, whether it be through PHEX, whether it be through EHEX, whether it be through your holdings on PulseChain or PulseX. It would be very, very advantageous for us to have a type of community fund from projects that have had raises, and also those projects could show goodwill by having their names on this type of DAO that they allocated this much. I saw something recently with, for example, what Rags to Riches did surrounding a fast. Now, why is this relatable to what the hell I'm saying? Rags to Riches had a fast for, I think, like 96 hours, and people allocated funds towards it for it to go to a better cause. I don't see why a DAO can't be created surrounding that. I think what yesterday was the perfect synopsis of what getting people from outside communities can do. And this is what I've been trying to do. Is it effective? I don't know. But like going on Crypto Banter, putting articles on Market Watch and Yahoo Finance, and people who don't already know about PulseChain to get them on board. Like when I do a stream, or when a lot of the content creators on Hex and PulseChain, we get a lot of views comparative to other people with the same amount of subscribers we have, which is fantastic. I mean, I see people with 100K subscribers getting 50 people. You know, there's 185 people in here right now. But when those 180 people are the same people consistently, and this is for my channel too, like the same people I see over and over and over again, it's it conveys a question on, am I just speaking in the same room? And even if I scream, the room next to me is not going to hear me. So I think yesterday was a perfect synopsis of what can be done if people, and this is exactly what Richard did, was very effective, was he went on other people's streams with other audiences, proving his intelligence, proving his master debate skills, proving his ability of being a more than adept in cryptocurrency knowledge and blockchain technology. And by doing that, self-marketed himself as a key opinion leader. And as a result of that, made his products viable to outside sources that didn't already know about it. And that's what I think this community is lacking, because it's too inwardly focused instead of outward. And the reason why is because many people in this community have been taught that Hex is the best. There's no second best. You know, be gladiatorial because of the past of this ecosystem. Anybody who's there was something that was posted a couple of days ago that was like, there were these people on Twitter who were dumb as shit that posted about AVAX going down, but AVAX is doing a crap load more than us right now. And instead of saying, oh, AVAX is garbage, say, oh, you know, AVAX is great. I'm sorry that happened. And I see the price went up at AVAX. There's a layer one that I'm interested in called PulseChain that may be another viable option for you to check out. Maybe there are some type of collaborations that could be done with AVAX and like PulseChain. Like extending an olive branch isn't that difficult, depending compared on being tribalistic and annoying. So I think it's very, very valuable.
You didn't see anyone writing comments about how sorry AVAX went down, but if you just had a founder who could deadlift stuff like this, that, you know, maybe the price would go up at least one time, 10,000x.
Honestly, man, and that's the thing. Like what he did.
Look at this guy.
What he did.
The best part of what he did was he was able to debate in an inquisitive yet outrageous way. I think the one thing that now again, I don't know anything about, like, you know, marketing at his scale, but the thing that I disagreed with most was the gladiatorial stance that, and obviously he did this because of a response from the outside community attacking him. But I think that ethos of nothing but PulseChain HEX and PulseX kind of needs to die, because if it doesn't, then who is going to listen to you when you sound like an excessive used car salesman? Like, you're not going to onboard people from Solana if you go over there and say, hey, yo, Solana's dog shit. It's down 9 to 5. It's only up 9 to 5 like the stock market Monday through Friday. We don't care that it's pumped. It's crap. Like,
Solana.
Solana, exactly.
That's what people would say to not onboard others. Yeah.
You're not going to do that. And you've got to be a bit more like, that's why I have a lot of respect for the community members like you that are not gladiatorial, that know how to onboard, that create things that help with onboarding, and aren't insufferable in your approach to onboard people where it sounds like I'm talking to a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, I think arm wrestling is another good way to do it. Actually getting in the ring, kickboxing, grappling of other sorts. They could be a crypto grappling match. They could be like a friendly way to see whose chart. Whose chart's going to go up the most. We could do it. Last question before I get you out here, man.
No rush. I enjoyed this conversation. No rush.
What is title of the stream? Will Richard Hart press the green button? You know, we went over, we looked at the sacrifice war chest and otherwise. The big question that we talked about before is, you know, whoever the entity is, could be Richard, could be a duck, could be a company, could be anyone in the world. But with that person or entity, do you think 2024 they're trying to time it, wait till the right time to do something, not in a market manipulation way, not in like this, like an ethical way to disperse SAC funds that we have no expectation that they'll do, but if they did, they'll use it to pump the price? Do you think the green button will be pressed in 2024?
If that individual entity, whoever it may be, cares about legacy and glory like they've conveyed all along, and that entity, whoever it may be, understands the importance of preserving legacy on the basis of the fact, unfortunately, that in a financial sector, the way you solidify your legacy is by making people wealthy, not by making people watch a bull market flash before their eyes and they're not part of it because they stayed true to their own principles in 4 to 5 tickers. Yeah, I would hope. I would hope.
Don't you think the tokens? I mean, the design, right? Credible design. They did it before, maybe with, maybe without any help, all that stuff. Shouldn't the design, like as a a community member, I'm thinking I don't need anyone to use the SAC fund. It would be nice if they did it, ethical way, legal, all that stuff.
Right.
It'd be nice. It's a nice to have, but I think they're designed to do well without that happening. But if it were to happen, I would certainly have a smile on my face if it's done in a good way.
Exactly. I would assume that the market in a rational way would speak for itself surrounding products. But the unfortunate thing is this market is not markets are not rationally based all the time. So the only thing that gets people to think is green candles. I had a little debate with someone about this. Like, it doesn't matter how difficult onboarding is once people see the green candles. And I kind of agree with that. I disagreed initially, but I agree with it. If I saw something that I knew I could get involved in, that I could learn in an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours time how to get involved, I would personally do it. If I knew and I saw a community that was this strong and this well off from an outside looking in, what was I going to say? I would be enticed to do it. There are certain components of this community that I have been very disgruntled about that I feel like it's worth sharing, that I've been sharing on Twitter through memes. The pocket watching needs to stop. Like, you have not a bunch, but a decent amount of Karens in this community that literally watch other people's pockets and say, who's a hexagon? Who's this? What defines that? You're not this if you don't support for 15 years. You're not this if you don't lock up this. Like, who sets the division or the dividing lines on what is what and who is who? And what a man or a woman or anything in between that can do with their own money. And you got some onions to even convey and announce that somebody else sold publicly. And I've seen this recently over the last couple of weeks. And this person sold this. This person sold that. This person only has a 5-year horizon instead of 15. Bro, get over yourself. And I'm not naming names, but these people probably know who they are because it's always the same few people that do it. And it does not look good. If I was looking in from this community and I saw individuals conveying disgruntlement to other individuals because their timeline is different than others, or they're disgruntled because they want to sell, or they're disgruntled and they're pocket watching, it's not a viable approach to get people in through a cordial matter. That doesn't that stuff needs to stop. Yeah,
hopefully 2023 we could have we have learned some lessons as far as
I hope so.
Just be nice, everyone. Like general rule, just don't be like what I think about it is just don't be a dick. Try to I mean, I'm not saying in any specific circumstance I don't know what you're talking about on that one. I'm not. I'm glad I don't know. I've used the mute button not sparingly.
I use it often, and I use it and I have 800 people blocked.
Oh gosh, well I know I never blocked that many people. I only blocked real scam accounts. Anyways, I think the ability to hopefully 2023 the red candles, we grew a little bit from that. People made mistakes. People wish they did things better otherwise. I myself included. So I'm glad. Hopefully 2024 that kicks us off and we're able to have peace, harmony, love, price go up. Tech is amazing. Richard might come back. You never know. But regardless, hey, we're a community, and I think we're gonna have some fun. Not financial advice, but I think we're gonna have some fun. It should be fun. I'm excited. Corey Costa, where can people find you, man? Where can they learn more about your work?
Yeah, I mean, there's 200 of you in here. Wow, that's a lot. That's awesome, RH. Y'all can find me on Twitter at Corey Costa 123. I know that's so original. And you can find me on YouTube, Corey Costa's Crypto Coins. I've interviewed, me and RHMax do this once a month where he goes on my channel, I come on his. I've interviewed Charles Hoskinson, BitBoy, Roger Stone,
The Hodge,
Da Vinci. I don't even know half people. David Gochstein, Crypto Wendy. Most people I've interviewed. So if you guys want to subscribe to my channel, feel free. It's Corey Costa's Crypto Coins, based with the name that you see here.
Corey is tagged in the stream below as well. You can just click on the link, take you there. Should work fine. Yeah, that's all we got for you today. Hope you enjoyed the stream. I had an idea. I thought the stream would be interesting. I thought we could go over some cool stuff.
Thank you.
I'm glad you could be a part of it, Corey. And yeah, that was fun, man.
I agree. That was great. Thank you. Seriously.
Appreciate you. Everyone out there watching, Scivive and 5555. We are out.